accomplished in the drive for 5. Brady leads the Patriots back from a Super Bowl record 25-point deficit in a 34-28 OT win against the Falcons. I still can't believe it happened. Stephen A., did the Pats win this or did the Falcons lose it?
I'm going to go with the Pats won. And I can come up with a bevy of reasons as to why Atlanta lost, which I'm quite sure my two colleagues here will not fail to do. I'm going to go with the fact that the Pats won, not just because I picked them, but because of how I picked them to win this game. Tom Brady was on another level. There is no denying it. It is what it is. But this defense, keep in mind, the fumble by LeGarrette Blount that set up one of Atlanta's touchdowns. The pick six by Tom Brady that gave them the other touchdown. Essentially, this high-powered Atlanta Falcons offense that scored 540 points this year, that was #1 in the league with the #1 passing attack, with the league MVP, with the running game personified, with the best wide receiver in football in Julio Jones, were held to 14 points, essentially, by this New England defense. So I look at it from that perspective. I look at their defense. I look at the second half adjustments Bill Belichick made. I look at the greatness of Tom Brady. I look at James White before it was Chris Hogan looking like Julio Jones in the AFC Championship game. 2 weeks later, we got James White here. I give him love and credit. Tom Brady acknowledges that he should have been the MVP. Like he said, Malcolm Butler should have been the MVP a couple of years ago. He'll probably give them the car. He'll take home the trophy. It is what it is. But what it comes down to is this. The Atlanta Falcons had a 28-3 lead, and the New England Patriots came back and took it. 31 unanswered points in the second half, 93 plays to about 46 plays, more than 200 yards in offense, more so than Atlanta. Miraculously, they had the same amount of yards rushing at 104, which makes no sense to me. But in the end, New England won this game.
Atlanta lost the game. Now, anytime you have a situation like this, New England's going to have to make a lot of good plays, and Atlanta's going to have to bungle some stuff. So I'm not even getting into the fact that on kickoffs, Atlanta couldn't get it past their own 12, right? Because you say, well, New England's defense. Or that Julian Edelman, with the game still on the lines, prancing to midfield on a punt return, right? Like, okay, you could say that's better special teams and that has to do with coaching and everything else and bungling from the Atlanta Falcons. But that's what happens when one team makes a great comeback. It's usually equal measures-ish of one team playing well and the other not playing well. This is what it comes down to. And this is why it's Atlanta losing. You have the ball in field goal range. All you have to do is call 2 running plays. If you wind up netting -3 yards, let's say, on those 2 running plays, which is unlikely. Falcons run the ball well. They probably, who knows, maybe they pick up a first down, but certainly they're more likely to advance the ball than to go backwards. If you do nothing at all, net gain of 0 on those 2 running plays, you are very likely to hit a field goal, making it a 2-score game and putting the game out of reach for the Patriots.
You're talking immediately after the catch from Julio Jones, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That is a monumental blunder that it doesn't hand the game because, of course, now Tom Brady and company have to make all the plays, and Atlanta still has to bungle stuff on defense. But if you simply go like this to the running back, here, hold this, run that way, twice, you are overwhelmingly likely to win that game. It puts New England to bed. They opted not to do it. It resulted in a sack and a holding penalty. It wound up with 3rd and 33 at some point. I mean, that's one team saying, oh, this Super Bowl that we have wrapped up, here, take it back. Don't want it. We're giving it to you. That's the Falcons losing the game.
Atlanta definitely lost this game. It was bad coaching, no adjustments at halftime. In the first half, you talked about it, it was 14 points. It was 21 points. The going in at halftime, when you have a lead like you have to make adjustments, knowing that your offense hasn't been out there more than 20 plays in the first half. And if they get going, gain some momentum, this lead will begin to increase. But defensively, you're a defensive-minded head coach. And you know if your players are out there more than 20, 30, 40 plays in a half, they're going to get tired. You know that you have lack of depth at the defensive line standpoint. You know that you have a young secondary, young guys in their first or second year in the secondary and linebacking core, and you don't have a rotation. Sit them in zone coverage or possibly blitz them. Do not play man the whole game, because when you play man, that means at some point there's going to be an explosive play. Tom Brady has been in this league long enough where he understands we're that far away. Going in at halftime, there were adjustments made on the defensive end by Belichick and Patricia. But on the offensive end, they were just missing by that much. Drop balls, penalties, lack of blocking up front, little mistakes That means Tom was hit too much. So who lost this game? Dan Quinn and Atlanta Falcons lost this game because they led the game all the way to the end until they gave it up. So for Matt Ryan, I feel bad for Matt Ryan because he did everything I said he needed to do in order to win this game. Eliminate the mistakes. Don't turn the football over.
Taking a sack when he did?
Well, what is he supposed to do? He can't throw the ball away because he can't get away from the guy. And so
that was not his blind side. He should have seen him cut.
Well, it's right in front of his face. But the two guys that played the best game out of all leading into that point were their center Mack, who was hurt going into that game, and their quarterback. And they both made the mistake. Then you lead to Devontae Freeman missing the block with Hightower, which led to a sack fumble. That right there turns it again back to New England. And going 3rd and 33 where you're out of field goal range puts you in a bad situation. So Dan Quinn and the Atlanta Falcons lost this game.
Well, first of all, both of you are wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all,
please do.
That's right. Thank you so much. We've talked about it. We're going to debate at the parties.
Yeah, let's go.
We can debate right here. Here's the deal. Devontae Freeman missed that block on Hightower. No doubt he's accountable for that, and I get that. And when you talk about the nuances of the game in terms of what the coach could or could not have done, Kyle Shanahan, who we'll get into later, what he could and could not have done, right. I get all of that. Here's why I got a problem with both of y'all, with what you're saying right now. If you recall, we're in Houston last week. You were sitting there chilling and partying and chilling, hanging out all the time. I had him to deal with, okay? Now I got both of y'all. I specifically said to you, the only way I can see Atlanta winning this game is if you explode out the gate, you put a hat on Tom Brady, and then ultimately that's your best shot. Because at any point in time, if the game gets tight, it's a different game. And this is what I mean by that, where I think y'all are letting Atlanta off the hook. Don't give me fatigue, number of plays. I
never brought up fatigue.
We talk about number of plays and all this stuff.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying to y'all is this. Is that dude who's not just a 4-time champion at the time, but is 39 years old playing in his 7th Super Bowl. And we go up against a bunch of young Lions, and that defensive line for Atlanta was very, very impressive for most of the game. But a bunch of young Lions with that secondary, and you've got guys that are just too young. They've never been here before, and they're in their early 20s. I said, it's going to get tight at some point in time. Those bright lights are going to get
I'm going to disprove this argument right now.
Go ahead,
I'm going to shut this argument down right now with your own logic, okay?
Please. Yeah.
Until last night, what was the worst call in the history of the Super Bowl?
Seattle.
Pete Carroll.
Seattle, right? I mean,
let's stop talking about that. That wasn't a bad call.
Okay, but I'm talking about his opinion now.
It was horrible.
His opinion.
Go ahead.
The point is, Seattle handed them that game, according to you, right? All you got to do is give the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
Right.
Actually, Donovan has brought up good points. I agree with you. I don't think that was the right call, but that's actually defensible in some way. You can actually construct an argument why, given the down, etc., you might call a passing play right there. That was different than yesterday. Last night, takes the cake. It replaces that as the worst call in Super Bowl history because you're in field goal range. You kick a field goal. That's an 11-point game over. There's nothing the Patriots can do. There's no 4-point conversion.
But you're assuming I feel that way, and I don't. And here's why.
To hand the ball to the running back twice?
Allow me to explain. I do comprehend your point.
Well, let's see if you do.
With it. My point to you is this. On many, many occasions, all the football players that I have spoken to literally say...
None of them play quarterback.
No. Literally say, you really, really get iffy about putting the hands in the game of a field goal kicker unless you absolutely have to.
Well, the field goal kicker that they have is
I'm not talking about his reliability, because I know he hit 24 of 25 from 35 to 45 yards out. I know he's been relatively consistent. What I'm saying is, because of the magnitude of moments and the kind of things that can go wrong with a field goal, sometimes you are of the mindset, I'm just going to play my game. I'm not justifying it. I'm simply saying that's the kind of thinking. In my years of covering sports, I've always been told, you don't go there unless you have to go there. You play your game until you have no choice.
But at that point, when you're in field goal range, you hit it, it's over. It's not like you need it to tie to get to overtime or anything.
The game's over.
You're going to overtime, even if the Patriots do everything right, which they did, and you do everything wrong, which is what happened.
But the way Tom Brady was rolling, you don't feel that secure.
Well, see,
therefore, you kick the field goal.
And that's why I go to the Atlanta sense, because they know the momentum was shifted over to the New England Patriots.
That's right.
So in order for you to combat that, you have to be able to be balanced on offense. They came out, ran the half row, hit Devontae
minus
Freeman in the flat.
1 yard.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman.
Well, the whole thing about it is, I think the injury to Tevin Coleman is something that we
Big time.
need to focus on a little bit more because he's their pounder. He's the grinder. Devontae Freeman is a great running back. He can run through tackles, but you need that big running back. So when I look at the sense of at the end, and y'all keep bringing up that whole thing with New England and Seattle, you know that New England ran that same type of play for the two-point conversion that was converted. That's the same play that New England ran for Danny Amendola getting in the end zone. So stop bringing it up. But let's talk about it.
Clemson won to win the national title.
That's what I'm saying. So don't bring it up. Don't bring that mess up. The Atlanta lost the game because they didn't run the ball. They kicked a field goal. Don't you bring that up no more. He got 2 points.